It's day 4 of 31 days of Halloween, and today we have this delightful spitter from Left 4 Dead. Here on Pretty Scary, the channel that brings you easy to follow budget friendly tutorials that you can do at home. Keep watching. Right, this is a fairly complex look with lots of different steps. Starting off with the teeth, make these with polymorph plastic, so just put the pellets into boiled water and then just mould them into teeth shapes. You want to make back teeth and you want to make front teeth, just make a selection of each. Now, because this is quite a complex tutorial, I'm going to keep it as brief as possible and speed some bits up so it's not ridiculously long. Anyway, so there's the teeth, and then into my special effects clothes. I always wear old clothes so that I don't have to worry about getting stuff on them. Now, the first thing you'll want to do is to get a reference picture of the spitter and draw out the rough design of the big mouth that you will be painting on. I'm just doing this in a lip pencil. This is a really important step because it gives you a guide as to where to paint. And now I'm using 2 parts silicone to build up the edge of the mouth. You can use latex and cotton wool if you don't have any of this. Now just mix equal parts of A and B and then just smooth them on with a spatula. And then taking some Vaseline, just use that to smooth and blend the edges into your skin. And then just leave that to set. And now I'm taking some latex and some cotton wool in order to build up the little ridge going down the centre of the nose. The spitters have got a lot of eroded skin because of the acid that they spit, so a lot of their mouth and nose and face is eroded away. Anyway, just using some more latex and cotton wool to build up the gum line into which I shall stick those polymorph teeth. Using the end of the makeup brush just to create the slots for the teeth. And then just sticking the teeth in. This was a little bit fiddly and they did kind of keep falling out, as you can see there, but just persevere and just keep going. Stick them in with latex and then put a little bit of latex over the top just to seal that tooth in and keep it in place. And then just using the good old latex and cotton wool to also build up the lower lip of the creature. Just saturate the cotton wool with some latex and use your spatula to mould. And once you've built up that bottom lip, you'll also need to build the bottom gum line. Just in exactly the same way as you did the top gum line, and then you'll be sticking in the teeth in exactly the same way too. And then taking some skin adhesive, I am just sticking on the rest of the teeth. You can use latex rather than adhesive if you prefer, or if that's all you've got. and then just sealing that in with a little bit of latex like I did with all the other teeth, just to make sure they're really stuck in there. This ensures that when you move your face around, they're not going to come loose. And now I'm taking a baby white which has dried off a little and tearing some strips in order to make the flappy strips of skin at the side of the spitter's mouth. I quite often use baby wipes for things like this because they are stronger and a bit more skin textured than tissue paper. So just sticking those on, and then I will be saturating them in latex just to seal them in place. Due to the high concentration of acid, the spitter also has wounds on her chest, so I'm just creating those with some latex and cotton wool. The lower wound was a bit out of shot, but you get the picture. And now just taking a baby wipe and cleaning off that excess Vaseline from where you smoothed that silicone into the skin, and then painting the entire face and any body that's exposed with a very light green. Using a brush for the edges of the mouth and then just blending those out with a sponge. I then mixed pink with some black to get a nice kind of greyish mouldy looking skin tone and started painting in the gums. Because this is a computer game character, you do want it almost to look a little bit sort of cartoonish, comic bookish, so you want the colours to be quite vivid and the shadows to be quite intense, which you will see later on. I then mix a little bit of blue into that to create a purpley tone and use this to start shading along where the top of that kind of mouth flap is, and also along the bottom. And then I used the same pink as I used for the gums to paint in the lips, and then I took a little bit of red and just painted over the top because I didn't feel it was quite strong enough. I then used that same pink to start painting in the centre of the mouth. At this point you will start to lose some of the details that you drew in, but at least you have the general shape in place now. And using the same colours just to paint in those wounds and also to create a kind of distressed look around the edge of that sore acid covered mouth. And now taking a black water-based face paint, I'm just starting to put in the details of the mouth, so that deep centre of the throat and then some shadows underneath those teeth. What you're starting to do now here is to build up the details of the inside of the mouth and throat, and also create depth to give the illusion that this is a big open mouth rather than the lower half of your face. So just paint those details in and then smudge out with a sponge. And you want to create the same kind of illusion with the nose as well, because the nose is meant to have been eroded away by that acid. So again, using the black just to create that missing nose. Keep referring back to your reference picture of the spitter. There is quite a lot of detail in the mouth, so yeah, just keep referring back to the picture. Now onto the skin. The spitter is quite a sort of old mouldy looking zombie, so she has a lot of expression lines, so I'm just going in and doing those with some grey eyeshadow and a fine brush, and then just blending those out. And then also using that same tone just to create some depth around the eyes and make them look quite sunken. And also shading around the nose. She will have a lot of kind of wrinkles and expression lines along her nose because her mouth is so wide open, ready to spit that acid. And for the same reason, she will also have lines at the side of her eyes and also in her forehead because her whole face is kind of wrinkled up to open that massive mouth. Just using that same eyeshadow to give a little bit of detail to the gums too, and also a little bit of shading inside that mouth. And then going back in with the black just to deepen up some of those shadows and also to create the illusion of the edge of the mouth as well, and also to shade underneath. I also wanted to create some darkness and depth in the teeth because they were looking way too white and pristine. And I also shaded around the teeth as well. Now going back in and just deepening up some of those expression lines. There is a lot of toing and froing and a lot of fine tuning with this look. You're wanting to just get those lines kind of as shaded and as deep as you need them to be so that you really get the illusion of this kind of computer generated character. Now there were some kind of yellowy tones inside the mouth as well, judging by the picture that I had, so I just went in with some yellow, and it also creates a little bit of interest inside that mouth as well, so it's not just all pink. And the same on the gums because this spitter is, like I say, a mouldy old zombie. Now back to the fine tuning that I was talking about, just going back in with the blacks, the reds, just creating the depth and the colours in there that you can see in the reference photo. And now my favourite shadow tone, Deep Night by Laura Mercier, and I'm just going in and really creating the deepest, darkest bits of those shadows using a fine detail brush and a fluffier brush for around the eyes, and also just creating some nice jagged edges to that upper mouth area too. One quick tip when you're doing a look like this is to keep kind of sitting back from the mirror and squinting your eyes, because that allows you better to see whether the illusion is working or not. Now we're just adding some depth into those wounds on the chest using some black and some more red. And then going in with Diamond Effects, which is a waxed based black, which is the deepest, darkest black water based paint you can get. It's absolutely brilliant. I'll link it down below. And I'm just going in and deepening all the darkest areas of those shadows to really make everything pop. Just applying some black on the body to make it look a little bit dirty and distressed. Going in and adding some more shading into some of those areas on the face also. And then finally, using NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk, I'm just adding some highlights to certain areas of the face, the high points basically. And then using the NYX Liquid Liner in White, I'm just adding some really fine highlights into the mouth area and around the mouth. This is brilliant for highlighting, you have to get one of these. And finally, I've mixed some latex with some bright green water-based face paint, and I'm just stippling that over to create that lovely acid that she spits everywhere. This will dry down so it won't move anywhere and it won't get all over your host's house. your party host's house that is, and just flicking some black paint over just to create the final distressed look and painting my hands. And there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It was a complicated one, but it's worth it. If you have any questions, please ask below, and if you haven't already subscribed, then please do so, and I'll see you tomorrow for day 5. Love ya.